Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the elegant, candlelit ballrooms of Regency London, aristocratic marriage matches, and high society peerage networks, and plunge straight back into the reality-shattering, calculation-heavy tracking grids of cosmic multiverse horror, weaponized temporal dimensions, and the deeply precarious world of gunslinger sovereigns chasing the literal linchpin of existence. We are crossing the threshold directly into the decaying, hyper-monitored landscape of 1999 New York City, the shifting desert geometries of Midworld, and the lethal analytical parameters of a highly intense reality-splitting possession and pregnancy matrix with Song of Susannah, the exceptional pulse-pounding sixth structural deployment anchoring the globally dominant genre-defining masterwork, the Dark Tower series, by the absolute undisputed sovereign of literary terror, multiversal cosmic design, and high-velocity psychological momentum, Stephen King. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce split-personality heroine running a desperate internal survival loop, a quartet of battle-hardened gunslinger enforcers, and an absolute defense of our world's structural sanity metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn cosmic thrillers where a targeted, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of underground vampire speakeasies, parallel timeline equations, and a deadly ring of active demonic and psychological gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised urban or interdimensional ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep psychological profiling, tactical resource management, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory Crimson King network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent pregnant heroine hijacked by a demonic entity across space and time diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. King completely dominates the cosmic norm meets dark fantasy espionage dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth that defined an entire generation of speculative fiction, while treating multiversal physics logistics, weaponized literature meta-arcs, and protective cross-world tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central heroine, Susannah Dean, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of a hijacked mind, a physical bodily occupation by the demonic entity Mia, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the Crimson King's ruling lowmen capos. Behind her sudden spatial displacement footprints and 10 psychic backdoors lies an intricate matrix of hidden biological allegiances, deeply buried multiversal secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Susannah's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of surviving psychological fracturing and racial warfare, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from techno-magic syndicates, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her frantic, cold-eyed gunslinger partner Roland Deschain, and shielding her vulnerable personal autonomy nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive by the Crimson King's forces. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her actor scanning perimeter. Controlled by the entity Mia, Susannah's physical asset is forcefully moved through a temporal door into 1999 New York City to give birth to a monstrous half-human prophecy child, Mordred. To survive a lethal imminent demonic hit order or dimensional takeover, the remaining members of the quartet are forced to split their tracking forces across separate timelines, only for a series of suspicious administrative sabotage attempts, targeted magical setups, and calculation-heavy urban ambushes to threaten to permanently eliminate them from the living registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the reality tracking centers flash white-hot when their joint public operations and defensive movements reveal that their cross-world alignment is radically, impossibly altering the universe's power of power. The standard boundaries of routine space-time compliance and peaceful world-walking protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across multiple eras, where deceptive low-men dynasties, highly manipulative robotic entities, and a calculation-heavy underground network launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the exclusive Manhattan high-rises, dark Dixie Pig dining halls, and private fortified safe houses into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone.
Our protective gunslinger protagonist is forced to deploy his massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw physical combat stamina to repair his perimeter and locate his missing anchor before the next interdimensional realignment permanently deletes his quest's progress. When deceptive romantic red herrings, corrupted ancient prophecy ledgers, and calculation-heavy mob ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete her path, her survival instincts engage her final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an arrogant mob boss behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the multi-world elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as King reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial setup or managing a forced psychic arrangement. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and cosmic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective web of absolute loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient heroine must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a dark fantasy western, cosmic horror suspense, multiversal dynasty family drama, and high-velocity metafictional noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered confession triggers a fatal restaurant showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes cross-dimensional confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite gunslinger protector has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. King writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished sandalwood, expensive ammunition, dark magic ozone, city exhaust, old paper, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this penultimate franchise entry into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine romantic power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs, before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Song of Susannah is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary fantasy and psychological suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputtable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the tower.